the Affordable Housing Trust meeting to order, if that's okay with everyone.
Only if you tell me first.
All right. I just told you now. Okay. I'd like to do two informal things first to start the meeting. This isn't on the agenda, so I'm just going to ask for an acknowledgement if it's okay to send this from the board. Jane Ralph, the president of Construct, has announced her retirement. She's moving to Wisconsin back home. And I wanted to read in a sort of thank you from the board, if that's okay. And if you guys like it, then I'll send it out on our behalf. Whereas August 8th, 2025, whereas under Jane Ralph's 9 years of leadership of Construct Inc., Construct has purchased, rehabilitated, and or built over 80 permanent affordable housing options in southern Berkshire County. Construct provides 10 comfortable transitional housing bedrooms and 2 houses for individuals coming out of homelessness. Construct meets the needs of 600 plus families per year. Construct provides the Pathways to the Trades program, a joint venture with area high schools, Greenagers, and the Railroad Street Youth Project. Construct offers rental assistance to income qualified individuals and families with unexpected needs. Construct has developed housing solutions throughout southern Berkshire County, including Lee, Lenox, Richmond, West Stockbridge, Monterey, Housatonic, Sheffield, Ashley Falls, Monterey, New Marlboro, Mill River, Ogotus, Beckett, Sandusfield, and Tyringham. And finally, Construct owns and manages 32 affordable housing units right here in Stockbridge at its original location, Pine Woods. Therefore, the Stockbridge Affordable Housing Trust would like to commend Jane Ralph on her stewardship of Construct and wish her all the best as she pursues new opportunities beyond the Berkshires.
Beautiful.
And is that okay with everyone if I send that out?
Move to.
Absolutely.
All right,
I'll second.
great. We'll take care of that. The second is we have
Roll call vote.
Do we need to do a roll call on that one?
I mean, since it wasn't on the agenda, I'm not sure. I just want to get your feedback and I'll send it out as the chair. That way, if we're not it's not an agenda item, so I'm not sure we should vote on it. But if it's okay, I don't care. Yeah, worst case scenario, I apologize on behalf of the town and the world that we violate the open meeting law. Oh my God. But yeah, I think that we're good without a vote. The other thing that came up is this USDA RCDI grant, which has a deadline of tomorrow. And Mark just brought to my attention yesterday. So I'd like to invoke the under 48 hours rule and have Mark give a quick presentation on this while we wait for Michael Canals to come back in to talk about Glendale Middle Road. Oh, I said the words and they're all showing up. All right, Mark, remember we only have till 5:45, so I'm talking a little quickly to kind of finish up all that's on our agenda.
All right. The Berkshire Regional Planning Council is applying for grants for affordable housing trusts in the county that will provide technical assistance to the trusts. A lot of this is going to be training, in-person training. For example, the activities focused on educating the Housing Trust Board members and staff on a variety of options for creating and promoting housing under the new state law on housing. Technical assistance will be provided through direct meetings. There'll be a site selector training program with a multi-phased approach that will include education and hands-on activities. First phase will be to connect the Housing Trust with local and regional housing developers and establish criteria around the things those developers are looking for. Another example, an exercise in which conversations with local utility providers will be facilitated to identify location of utilities, demand and future demand planning, limitations to the utility systems. Activity here, this will be a series of facilitated conversations in which the Regional Planning Council connects the Housing Trust with Commonwealth officials, such as rural development officers, who will be able to provide the trust with a concise understanding of relevant grant programs and ways to apply. So it's some real nuts and bolts stuff about how to identify sites, how to deal with developers, utilities.
And the deadline is tomorrow.
The Berkshire Regional Planning Council has asked for a noon tomorrow deadline to have this agreement signed by the housing trusts. I don't know why this is all happening so late, but it did happen just in the last day or so. And that would be for you to sign.
Okay.
And I will take care of making sure they get it once the document is signed.
So I'm going to make a motion that we pursue this grant opportunity, subject to Mark. I would like to delegate to Mark that he work with Michael Canals and make sure that, that our council, which is also town council, doesn't see a problem with it. It's Berkshire Regional Planning. I cannot imagine there would be a problem with town council, and document with them, but I would like to defer. The motion is that you have the authority to turn it in or not.
Okay. I spoke with the original
Second.
planning council today.
You have to do roll call.
I know, we're not ready to vote yet.
Just want to say, I spoke with the regional planning council today, the woman in charge of the grants. I said, is there anything you want to flag in the boilerplate of this application? It's mostly like a couple of pages of you must obey all the federal rules regarding discrimination and blah, 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 and all this stuff. It's boilerplate. She said, no, I haven't seen anything that is a controversy or anything like that. But it's something you have to do to assure the federal government that you're going to be in compliance with all their rules.
So do we have a second?
Second.
All right, so roll call vote. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Jan.
6-0. There you
I
go.
will pursue it.
All right. We're waiting on Michael, who is clearing out the Josh Billings meeting and then ushering in the Stockbridge World Stewardship Commission meeting. Thank you for choosing us, by the way, Jamie. We know that are your favorite. We are your favorite. I'm trying to make a joke here, but it's not coming out.
Patrick.
Hold on a second. So we're just waiting for Michael to come back in before we deal with the first issue on the agenda. Yes.
Well, since I was the one that was charged with talking to Michael and council about this, do you want me to go started with this?
No, why don't we just wait for Michael because we got to go through these two other proposals that he's less involved in.
Okay.
So he said he'd be back in 5 or 10 minutes.
I just sensitive to the drop dead date.
Well, we've only used our 5 minutes of our 45-minute allotment. I think we're doing,
Okay.
I could
Okay.
probably shift down to fourth gear. What do you think? All right, let's see. We have two proposals in front of us that I would like to talk about. Neither of the applicants could make it to join us today. So we can either talk about it and then come up with the next step. We could vote to conditionally approve it. These are both proposals one is from Riverbrook, the other is from Construct around sort of, grants from the Affordable Housing Trust to deal with issues that have come up on their properties. Why don't we start with the Riverbrook? Did everyone have a chance to look at the Riverbrook proposal? I think they're looking for what? It's 20 grand for a roof. For roofers, so there's some problems with some of the roof structures there and it's only a portion of the project. It's for, what's that?
There's sewer pipes.
Yeah, there's.
Oh, that's a sewer pipe one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I thought this was, roofs is, I'm sorry, construct is the roofs. Right. Yeah, sewer pipes. All right, so the point is this, this is a new thing for us. So our process is gonna be that if something comes in, we review it, we elect to forward it as a group to town council to review. As a courtesy, I did send a copy to the chair of the Community Preservation Commission. And I heard back that she had no problem with us going forward with it. And then once we kind of give the tentative approval, town council gives approval, it would come back here for kind of a final approval. It takes 5 votes out of 6 right now until the board gets us a new member, which I hear, yes, we may have a candidate right now. And so just any feedback on the Riverbrook proposal, or what is the general feeling on it?
I have a question. A lot of times the Riverbrook and will go directly to the CPC with a grant application to try to get funds for this sort of thing. And by going this route, it sort of depletes our funds a little bit to do something that the CPC, I think, would normally do on their own. So I don't want us to be in the position of reducing demands on CPC at our expense. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it, but you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't want to deplete our funds to do something that CPC would normally fund. On the other hand, if they have sewer pipe issues, they can't wait till town meeting.
Town meeting 26.
Right.
Because it would take a whole,
It's fiscal year. It'd be like almost the next year.
it would be like literally a year from now.
So I would just say,
Just gave out money.
all right, I would just say that I would hope that the CPC will look with grace upon us for stepping in and filling the breach here.
I think that's, I have a couple of comments on that. I think, first of all, it's an absolutely legitimate question is, of the resources we get, which both have in the past all come from CPC, but in the future could come from places like DeSisto or Elm Court or other projects. What is the appropriate percentage of money that we might want to direct in aggregate toward existing projects versus new projects? I think that's a completely reasonable question for us to tackle. I think the number will be far more than 20 grand here and 50 grand for construct, but that's a question we should answer. And I don't think we're going to vote on either of these tonight anyway. The second thing I will point out is that I had noticed a discrepancy in the accounting in my first year on the select board, which resulted in CPC getting about, I think it was 1.3 or 1.4 million dollars in
Unspent money,
clawbacks
right?
over from the first 20 years. Nobody ever kind of done the books. And then Michael and Erica and nobody could believe it might be true. And
Where
it turned out
was
to
the
be
money
true.
sitting during that time?
What?
Where was the money
It
during
was
that?
just in one of the town accounts.
Spent.
Yeah.
So it just didn't get taken off or on, like it just didn't.
So it's.
Right, it was just sitting in an account somewhere, we have bank accounts, but it had never been accounted for when we gave grants to people and they hadn't spent all their money. And it turned out there were a lot of people who hadn't spent nearly all their money because we've done CPC since 2000. We spent the last 3 cycles, that windfall, which was about, like I said, 1.2, 1.3 million. I think there's a couple 100,000 left. The point I'm making is that money went toward a ton of things, including funding this trust. Like normally CPC only gets about 450 a year between the state and between us. And we had an extra like 1.2 million. It was like being Santa Claus for 3 or 4 years. It was the best thing ever. It's like people were coming to us for money and we're like, yeah, we've got kind of more than we ever dreamed. And that's largely over now.
Can't believe in Santa anymore.
Santa Claus is not coming to town anymore. Yeah. So I point that out because the money to all 3 buckets, which is affordable housing, historic preservation, open space, are going to be a lot smaller going forward than they were in the last 2 or 3 years. And so I think it's great that we actually have potentially other sources of income over the next several years, which doesn't put so much pressure from housing on the other buckets, which are completely legitimate, priorities of the town as well, and so my sense is that we should be judicious, but also recognize that, I frankly love, I love the idea of helping Riverbrook out just as a,
Patrick,
yeah.
so would it make sense for us to make a motion that basically says, in light of the perceived urgency of the work that needs to be done and the delays that will be incurred if this goes to CPC, that the Affordable Housing Trust is going to step in here to provide the resources and have that be the motion? That way we basically make it clear that this is not something that we wish to have as a continuum.
Yeah, I think that
Before we, can I just say, I have 2 questions. And before we get to a motion to do anything, my first question is, it seemed from the write-up on this that this proposal did go to the CPC last year, and 20,000 of the 44,000 was granted by the CPC, and they were expecting to raise the other 24,000 from some other source, presumably fundraising. But my question is, where did they expect to get those funds? And I understand the urgency right now of
no, they filled out this form for us, Jan. They did not go to CPC for this last year. This is a new thing. She just included the CPC fund form because it's the only form that we had on the website for doing these kind of things. This was not funded. No portion of this was funded by CPC last year.
So who's covering?
Somebody's on.
Bruce, you're on double.
Bruce, you're on twice. Yeah, there you are.
So
What's that?
who's covering the 20,000 that they're not asking?
We are, but they're asking us for 20 and they're saying they'll come up with other sources for the 24.
They do a fall fundraiser every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically this is a new project that just came up. Right. Hi, Larry.
My second question is, it seems that there's one estimate that they got for doing the work, and I understand it may be, that there aren't a lot of companies that do the kind of repair work that they're talking about doing where you don't have to dig up the entire
Mhm.
Right.
lawn and everything, but is it possible to get another estimate for the work to be done? Usually on those kind of projects of that magnitude, you try to
Well-
get two estimates before you proceed.
Yeah. I,
Do we know whether they got two estimates? I think that's a question we could ask them.
yeah,
Maybe
we
this-
could do a follow-up with Becky on that.
I might also wonder if this is a company that's done a lot of work for them, knows the system and has
Yeah.
some benefit of local
I
knowledge.
mean, look at it, they've got, it's a place with a budget of what, $5 or $6 million a year. And they've been maintaining what is basically a cottage or estate building for as long as they've owned it. I gotta believe that they know how to maintain their stuff, but for our own due diligence, if we want to basically ask some questions like this, I'm fine with it. I think we should two-track it though. I think one of us, and frankly, I'm hoping one of you will want to, take the point with Becky and follow up with her with any questions you have. And I think this board should authorize you as a go, no go based on your feeling on the response that you get. And then the other track would be to work with Donna and Jamie, what's her name? The one, Jenny from Harrington Heap to make sure that these two proposals would qualify under our CPC funding, grants in the past. So basically, we get some answers. If the board has due diligence questions, let's assign one of us to ask Becky. She's very available. Same with Sammy Keeling at Construct, and also work with town council.
Could I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course. And the public does not. Anybody can jump in. We're gonna have a small group today.
One approach that I guess the board could take, it was a little surprise to me in the past, which now I've caught up to speed, that, the Affordable Housing Trust or the town at the time, like with Pine Woods, with construct and stuff, that you not only have the upfront costs, but you also have maintaining costs. I'm wondering if the board, in order to keep their budget, in reality, in the sense of always knowing how much they could give out to different projects as a maintaining, can you earmark or have a separate account that you put a little bit into each year for those types of funds or surprises like this, in the sense of it doesn't affect any other project, and maybe any new project coming along has a line item for maintenance down the road also?
Yeah, and this is where
Because it can add up to a lot of money.
right, and this is where I want to dialogue with Coke and the rest of the CPC around, is this a role that you guys want us to play? This comes up, we have a problem with the sewer, we've got a roof opportunity for adding some solar to Pine Woods. Like we're able to act in a meeting where we get 5 hands in the air. Whereas the CPC cycle is, as Jamie pointed out, is like 16 months long. I mean, from now, it's literally 12 months from now before a dollar could be spent. And if that's a role they want us to play, that's great. We don't technically need CPC's permission for the already expended funds or for potentially the funds that are coming in from payments from developers. But at the same token, the CPC has been doing these kind of grants for 25 years, and this is the first time we've ever talked about it. I'd love to there's so much experience on the CPC board. I'd much rather work together than, kind of get,
Or maybe they could do an
Yeah.
emergency
Yeah.
situation too and pay it forward and
Yeah.
they apply next year, go through the
That's
proper
right.
stuff.
Oh, yeah, they do have emergency funds, right? CPC.
no,
I don't think so.
no, there's no CPC, they could call a meeting and call a special town meeting, but even that's like,
That'd be crazy.
But these are truly affordable housing costs. Like these
Yeah.
are our people
Right.
in affordable housing, so it does
Yeah.
fit under her umbrella.
And I was gonna ask, wouldn't Riverbrook fall under the historical preservation? I
It
mean,
might.
It is a historical mandate.
Mike, but we couldn't fund it under that.
Right, but isn't that part, you said that historic is part of it.
It's one of the 3 buckets, right?
Yeah.
So it would fall under that, so it would be affordable housing could actually do that then.
Right.
I have a question or suggestion maybe, and it's following up with what Peter's saying, that since the CPC has a long runway for spending and we can move quickly, as you point out, that we might suggest to the CPC that we set up accounts for Riverbrook and Pine Woods, Heaton Court even maybe, I don't know, but that they would fund that for emergency repairs during their long cycle when we could move quickly. But it would be separate from whatever funds they want to earmark for us. And that a CPC member or two could participate in the decision of how to allocate those emergency funds. It provides some flexibility in the overall area of affordable housing. And I agree that we should be supporting existing affordable housing as well as new. Or the Affordable Housing Trust. It doesn't mean it just has to be new. But again, it might be a nice way to set up the books in such a way that CPC knows that some money is going to go into this emergency account. It may not get spent in the first year, but it might be needed in the second year or something like that.
And maybe that's a suggestion for the balance of that windfall. You know, if there's a couple 100,000 left there, maybe we could take 150 and just put it into an emergency designated account for these three properties that we could administer on behalf of CPC, you know, quickly. So, you know, that might be a great way to fund this one specific thing, but that's gonna be up to you guys. I'm, you know.
How would we go about proposing that to CPC?
We put in a proposal in November, December, whatever the deadline is, and then it would get reviewed in the normal CPC cycle in January.
All right, great.
So do we have any, let's just only deal with Riverbrook now. Is the feeling that Riverbrook is something that we're interested in funding?
Yeah.
Does somebody want to follow up with Becky on the questions of procurement?
I'll do that.
Okay, Mark is going to do that. I have her cell number. I can get it to you after the meeting. So how about we have a motion then?
Bruce started one.
Yeah, how about we just have a motion then to forward this to town council for review and confirmation that it's something that we can forward, that we can fund. And we'll fund it based on Mark and I'll have a conversation. If he's satisfied that the procurement issues are satisfactory with them, then we'll go forward with it. Town council.
Just remind me of the questions we want to
They
ask.
wanted to know if there was two quotes or if it was a single source, need to be a single source procurement because
Okay,
that's all they could find, or it was a previous vendor or something like
Alright.
that.
two quotes. Okay.
Right, oh, yeah, this is the trenchless pipeline, right? Okay, so is that okay? So sort of a long, so the motion is based on delegating feedback to Mark, should town council find this fundable, the Affordable Housing Trust agrees to fund this project for $20,000.
Is that the motion?
That's the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, so we need a roll call and we need 5 out of 6 votes because this is spending. So we need a supermajority. Aye, Patrick.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi,
Bruce.
Jan. Hi, Jan.
Excellent.
All right.
Okay,
Great.
now the one for construct, and we're doing great. We have exactly 35 minutes. So we're gonna try to get through this in 10 minutes and hope that Michael stops talking about harvesters. We're dealing with housing here, Michael, not just weeds in the lake. Get back here. All right, so let's see. Construct's proposal has 2 parts. One is very similar to this. It's sort of repairing roofs in preparation for going solar. But the other one is more innovative, not more innovative, it's just a very different type of proposal, which is having the trust participate in a fund that Great Barrington, Lee and Lennox already participate in, where if someone has a legit emergency and they qualify under the, rental guidelines, income guidelines of being able to be admitted in affordable housing, though you don't have to be in affordable housing. You just have to make them, low enough money, so that you would qualify for it. Let's say you fall down, you break your leg, or, you have some emergency, you can't work. This is a fund that allows Construct to fund renters in Stockbridge who might get into trouble and might face eviction. So what Jane told me was that they funded it through the Lee and Lennox first round of funding, which is a little more than what they're asking us for, 25,000. It's been well over a year and they haven't even gotten through all that yet. So it's not like it's a high demand fund. It really is a legit, somebody is, has kind of bad, they're going through a bad time in life and for whatever reason and we're, obviously we can't be in the business of paying people's rent, but if, with some kind of stringent guidelines, I would generally support this. I would like, Sammy said she could come in. Sammy works for Construct, Sammy Keeling. She said she could come in for the next meeting. I would love to hear a little bit more about what that means. There's strict guidelines before we kind of put our money into it. But I am buoyed, I am reassured by the fact that Great Barrington, Lee, and Lennox's affordable housing trusts are already participating. So others have vetted it. I would suggest a member contact 1, 2, or 3 of those trusts to see what their experience has been with this, and reach out to Sammy around what those guidelines are, and invite her to whatever meeting we come up with at the end of this meeting. So is this one that somebody might want to kind of take on? Who wants to do a construct? Wasn't Randy dealing with the construct?
Yeah, that went well.
Yeah.
I can do that. I can give him a call. and talk.
Okay, all right. I'm happy to be on the call with you, Jean.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
And it may be on the regulations, but it occurred to me that there may be some, young people who just bought a house. So I don't know whether the regulations are requiring that it only be for rentals. Because you could have someone who bought a house and has a mortgage, and if they're in the same situation and they
It's a good question, but I think that this fund is targeted to the 30 to 60% of AMI. And I'm not sure that people making 30 or 40 grand a year are buying a house right now. I mean, unless,
It's a lot trickier for ownership. Some portion of the rent goes towards equity. It's a good question.
and we can ask them, well, we can do a separate fund for that.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get into the home ownership, which should be, Jay Bukowski's original idea around down payment assistance. It's a really nice, clean way of helping out a young family who wants to get into the first time buying.
And it was,
Is this a one-time thing they're asking for?
It might be like,
Yearly thing.
no, it's like a 2 or 3 month thing. It would have, look, rents can be $1,500, $2,000 a month.
Right.
But our
25
contribution, I
grand,
think, would be annual. I think
They're
we're
gonna
gonna,
ask annually, you
Yeah.
think for it.
We'd be
That's why I'm
joining the-
asking.
No, they ask when it runs out. And the point is that the apportionments from the other towns, the initial grants they got from the other towns it's been over a year and they haven't run out yet. So it's not like they're being kind of judicious in their request, or people don't know about it. I don't know, one or the other.
it would certainly be nice to be able to help first-time homeowners who are young and get some people who back in town that were.
But that's not a construct program. This program is around rental assistance.
Right.
This is like this is a multi-town program
Mhm.
that they're trying to get us into. And I think that, and our participation would be limited to Stockbridge residents. So, we've got rentals on Park Street, on Pine Street, on Church Street,
And Main Street.
and on Main Street. So there's there's not that many rentals here in town. And obviously at Pinewood, Eaton Court, and I don't think Riverbrook pays any rent. So, we really only have 5 or 6 kind of areas where we have many rentals in town. But, you never know. Maybe, everybody can break an arm, right, Jamie?
Mhm.
Yeah. Just kidding. Yes. We're looking at your phone. Anyways, okay. So Jan, you and I will follow up with Sammy, and I think we should try to maybe schedule a meeting toward the end of August. What does everyone's calendar look like? And now I'm stalling because I'm surprised Michael's not back.
End of August.
How
I can do this.
about the 28th or the 21st? If we want to keep doing it on Thursdays.
21st.
21st.
What?
21st.
21st at 5 o'clock?
Mhm.
Okay. And then we're gonna try to,
I can't. I have
You
a
can't?
fire station committee meeting that night.
Okay, when does that start?
4.
4?
What time
Yeah.
does it end? What time does it end?
Depends on how chatty everybody is.
All right, well, I think. if we
I mean,
keep this-
I can basically push them to finish,
How
make
about
sure
we
it's
do
done by
how about we do-
5.
How about we do 5:30 with it, we'll have to be done by 6:30 because I think there's a select board meeting that night. And we'll do the same thing, goal of doing it in 45 minutes. I like quick meetings,
Okay.
So how about 5:30 on the 21st?
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
One thing I brought it up in the past and we did well, but this time the meeting was kind of posted late again. I didn't.
Yeah, that was my fault.
Unless I missed it, because I just saw it yesterday. I'm like,
I didn't post it till Monday.
because if it was yesterday, I would have gotten stuck in.
Yeah, all right.
I don't care if the agenda's on it, I just
Just need the
need
date.
to know the date.
So let's say Affordable Housing Trust.
I'll send it in tomorrow and say, we just put it on there as a date.
Perfect.
Right. So we're gonna do Thursday and I'll try to get it in by the prior Friday, Thursday, August 21st. Okay. 5:30. Okay. And Liz is gonna basically reserve the date with Terry.
Yep.
I think Terry's out tomorrow, so you can do that Monday.
I'm just gonna send it.
Tammy's probably there.
What?
Tammy's usually there.
Okay. 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 Why don't we, take a 2-minute adjournment? I'm gonna run down and see if we can get Michael back. Because,
You don't think I can do this? I've had,
I'm sure you could do it, but I think we're gonna have to, I just feel like we should take a minute and put all the players in the room. And Michael, you were the ones who were kind of figuring this out.
all right, I've had a lengthy discussion with Michael, so.
But you can start. I have done the same. You don't need me for this. We're ready to start over.
So you want me to start now or you want to wait?
I'm not seeing you.
Let's give it a minute.
Give him a couple minutes.
Okay.
You guys have to approve the meetings.
Yeah. Was it on the agenda?
I think so.
We can move through it, but
We can do it after.
did you do this?
No, Jan did.
I thought Jan did.
Oh, Jan did.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
Because she
Jan, did you read
emailed them
minutes from the
to
last
me.
Yes, they
I
came,
did the minutes and I
Emailed
sent
to
them out.
me.
I saw them. They were very nice. Thank you.
Did you approve them?
I don't have
No.
to.
No, did you approve them?
No,
Not
I
yet.
don't think we did.
No, we didn't.
Not yet.
On his own agenda.
You know what? Sometimes we move things. I can't be that stiff.
There's so much of.
We've gotten a lot done in very little time.
Yeah, I like his speed dial approach.
Mhm.
I like the friendly atmosphere.
I got to pick my own chair.
In the corner.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Come up and join us.
Before you get, can we just approve the minutes?
Oh, yeah, motion approved.
I'll second.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Jan.
Bruce?
Bruce isn't talking to us.
Bruce keeps flipping between pictures.
Putting a lot of pictures up there for us.
It's like a photo gallery.
Well,
Bruce, you got a yes on the minutes?
Yeah,
Okay, good then. We're a formal board here at the Affordable Housing Trust. Okay. Michael, we were talking a little bit about how about the 5-year plan to turn over Glendale Middle Road to the town and how there's a vote. You and Bruce have talked about it. I want to just turn it over to you and Bruce, talk about what you've come up with and see if we can, get some closure on this.
So,
You can see Bruce.
sorry.
you want me to start out, Michael?
I think I keep it nice and short and simple, that, really this board's action would be to vote to release the property in 5 years to the town to become open space. If you vote to do that, then the selectmen can place a warrant article on the next town meeting. At the next town meeting, effective May 7th, the day after, because it's May 6th that you signed it, May 7th of 2029, that the property would turn over to the town as open space. And we could take care of the vote at our next town meeting, even for a future event. So we don't have to put in a calendar to remind ourselves, hey, remember, we have to do this at the May 2029 meeting. We can get it done right at the next meeting. So the only thing this board would have to do right now is vote to turn it over to the town after the 5 years has elapsed. And then the select board will take over from there and place the warrant article for next year's town meeting.
Bruce, is that how you understand it?
Yes, and just to Just to clarify, because anyone I've spoken to about this has raised a question. The deed that was signed was very, very clear about this 5-year time period. And there was no exclusion for the trust to vote down taking over, using the property for development, and turning it over to the town any earlier than at the conclusion of that 5-year term. So that's why we have to do this now, and have the select board do this now and go to town meeting in advance of something that's not going to happen for another 4 years.
Mhm.
And there was a 1-year window for the town to act. So the town had 1 year
After,
to act, to take it, if not a return to the owner.
So the 5-year is
after May 7th, 29, the town has 1 year to make a decision about what they're going to do with it or turn it back over to the Morrises.
Now, I recognize this isn't a comprehensive representation of the neighbors. Would it be your preference that this remain private property or go into permanent open space owned by the town? I mean, it's a relatively modest tax benefit because it was chapter 61, if it were to revert back to the owner. But at the same token, being in permanent open space would protect you guys from.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'd like to see permanent open space, and if we have to add any language of no future
Development within those 5
development.
years.
That was my next question for Michael,
Mhm.
is can we turn it back over to the town condition to it being permanently preserved open space?
So it's specific in the deed that it's turned over to the town to become open space.
Okay.
What's the definition of open space then, I guess is what my question is.
Just like all the other conservation land we own, it would just remain as is for just public enjoyment of open property.
Now,
So can I ask?
Given that it's not quote conservation land, is it just as an open space or?
Similar to any of our parks or anything else.
Okay.
Jan, do you have something?
Yeah, I had a question about what's in the actual deed about what the town can and cannot do with the property once it's turned over to the town. So for example, if it's open space, that's one thing. But could the town also decide, well, we want to expand the solar panel field?
Especially with the state legislation allowing for those kind of conversions.
Nothing is in the deed other than what is stated.
Right.
that's what I'm saying, so should we put a condition that we don't have any of that type of?
I don't know who's authorized what. I say you just get it turned over as open space, which is 5 years from now.
Yeah,
And then during that time period, we could examine putting it into chapter land, we could examine the rest, but it would all be town meeting approval. It's not from any of these boards or anything else.
We own it now. Could we encumber
You
with
can't
it?
do anything with it. The trust cannot do anything with it. It's clear in the deed.
Right.
You have 5 years to develop it. That's it. Or turn it over to the town at the end of 5 years. And then the town has 1 year to exercise its rights to take it as open space.
I've always had a problem.
Overcomplicating a very
I've
simple
always had a
process.
problem, Michael, with not having unlimited power. It's problematic for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I understand.
I have a question. What happens if there's a whole new housing board in this 5 years and they decide they want to develop it because it's still theirs for 5 years?
Well, that's why it's not. That's why we're doing this now.
It is going to be
Right.
town, even though it's not voted on, it will be town once this is done.
Correct. We are doing this now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having the select board basically do a warrant article at their next meeting to do this now. Michael and I talked about that eventuality, that there could be a whole new trust, a whole new select board, and so on and so forth. And the reason that we're doing this now is to actually prevent that from happening.
Okay.
They're voting now, and the select board will be voting now to make sure that nothing is done with that until May 7th of 2029, when it gets turned over to the town for open space.
If we just wait,
Okay.
then something could change.
Right.
That's why we're trying to get this cleared
Right.
up to legal, and legal said, yes, we can clear it up right at this next meeting.
I just want to clarify though. This board is in the business of building housing. We came to a fact-based conclusion that building housing, both from the cost perspective, from an access perspective, from the land perspective, from the inability to do septic perspective, we spent a year studying the facts around this parcel and came to the conclusion that it was not an appropriate buildable lot for what we want to do, and in fact was perhaps less advantageous compared to other properties we have. So that fact pattern is not going to change no matter who's on this board. All right. So I want to be cautious. We're not doing this quickly just because we want to frankly protect anybody or we are anti-housing or anything else. We're doing it because we've come to the conclusion that this is not an appropriate site for us to develop. We can't do a few houses and we can't do enough houses to pay for bringing water and sewer upgrades to your neighborhood. And also, by the way, it's only a 40 or 50-foot driveway and, there's all sorts of issues with this parcel going forward. So I think we should, at the end of the day, if some future folks came to a different conclusion, it's not our job to legislate the future of what people's opinions are. There's going to be elected leaders on these boards. There's going to be appointed leaders on these boards, and they could disagree with us. But we've come to that conclusion after an enormous amount of work. So, I wouldn't worry too much about the future because the fact pattern is not going to change. Anyone disagree?
Well, just to be clear, if we take this vote,
Different people could come to a different conclusion.
Yeah.
And as Michael and I talked about it, that the best way to try to ensure that does not happen is basically to go through the process that we're talking about right now, which is for us to send it for a warrant article for Jamie and the select board to draft a warrant article to vote on, to go to town meeting, and basically puts the whole thing on hold until May 7th of 2029. I don't disagree with you. It's unlikely that new people 4 or 5 years from now will come to a different conclusion, but one never knows. So why not take the steps that do the best job of ensuring that not happen?
so Michael, if we take
Well
this step
said.
now, then the property cannot be developed in the 5-year period waiting for the
But
transfer.
you'd have to undo things. I won't say there's impossible. You could go to the town meeting and have it reinstated back to the trust, because until May 7th, 2029, you can undo town meeting stuff by town meeting. You can, but it'd be very hard to, you're gonna make it very hard for anything other than open space to happen. Can I guarantee?
No.
No, I can't. Town meeting can undo a town meeting vote until it becomes effective. So a future town meeting could
Right.
reverse it. But you've done as much as you can to ensure that this property gets transferred to the town for open space in 2029.
A future affordable housing trust then on its own could not reverse this.
No, you'd have to also clear up the town meeting, but you could try.
Yeah, but we can't do any more assurance than that.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's all we're looking
Mark,
for.
we won't own it anymore.
Right.
We'll have nothing to do with it anymore. It'll be
Well, who owns it during the 5-year period?
Still the trust. And,
own it. Okay.
and if you could get town meeting to undo the vote, then a future town meeting. Yeah, like I said, it becomes very complicated to undo
Good
what
luck
you're.
with that.
Yeah, I would say that it's a 99.9%.
So we have 2
done.
minutes, left. All right, let me ask a question. Is this paperwork that Donna and Jenny or whoever Donna can put in place so that we can then sign it and start a process of turning it over?
All you'd have to do is, all you need is a vote to have the select board place a warrant article to have it transferred to the town in 2029. That's it.
We don't need to sign any documents
There's
transferring
no
it.
documents, no nothing.
Do we want to make that motion now, or do we want to make people keep coming to meetings? Because I really like seeing all these people. I mean,
Can we
so I've
vote
gotten to
on
know
that
you.
motion?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was well done.
Make a motion then to, what should the motion be, Michael?
Say,
Yeah, that
Already
this
run out.
board turn over the I just said it. As I just said. Like he's pulling the recording and
I will take it from there.
yeah,
Make a motion to turn the property over to the select board for,
a warrant article be placed that property becomes open space in 2029.
I'm going to make that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, let's roll call that. Patrick, aye, Patrick.
Hi, Liz.
Hi, Mark.
Hi, Jamie.
Hi, Bruce.
Hi, Jan.
There you go.
I can go.
Excellent.
There you go.
All right,
Yep.
good luck with that. Okay, do we have anything else? We have a minute left.
Thank you, Michael.
Would you put on the next agenda, properties that are available that we could look at? Because we've
You
already.
want to do the next one, or we just want to deal with these two issues at the next one? We're only gonna have 45
I'll tell you
minutes.
what, in the two properties I saw last time, one's under contract and the other one's waiting to hear if we have any interest at all.
Properties of interest,
And
to
they're just
the Affordable
disappearing.
Housing Trust. Yeah. I know. I go back to until the town
On
decides.
Main Street.
Oh, that was fast.
No, nothing's fast. It's all fast. I cannot believe the one, well, the Park
all
Street.
right. Yeah, I've been, one of the reasons why I put
No, I get
the
that.
proposals for Riverbrook and Construction, we're gonna get another proposal from Heaton Court, next meeting. I already talked to Andrea. We're sort of treading water while we decide if we're doing the seasonal communities.
Mhm.
So we have two very different strategies in this board, if we are doing it versus not doing it, and it's up to the town.
Right.
But until we know, we don't know. So,
I would just like to try and find people with deep pockets who might want to help
Okay.
with this. We can somehow get that out there.
okay. Okay, so, anything else that's before us? And anybody who wants something on the agenda, just send me a note. Let me know. But I did make a note of that, and we'll follow from there. Maybe we should make a motion to adjourn because I need to prepare the room for the select board.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Aye,
Hi, Bruce.
Aye.
Hi,
All
Liz.
right.
Hi, Jane.
Thanks, everyone.